So everybody, I want to thank you all for joining us. This is an interview with the experts that at the McGee firm we do periodically. There's not a set amount of times per year, but usually 7 or 8 times per year. So today we're super excited to have on Ivo Allen, also with him Oliver Wriedt, and they're with 911 Inform. And normally I do these in the day. I normally do these maybe around 11 a.m. or around lunchtime, but I wanted to do this one specifically in the evening to give more of you guys and those of you who work who are not yet retired an opportunity to watch this. Of course, we will have this available as on demand after probably the next couple days. We'll also be putting it all over our social media. But we appreciate you guys for joining us. And for those of you who are joining us, one of the great things is you will be able to ask Ivo questions at the end of this, right? That my clients watching this on demand or on YouTube will not be able to do that, but you guys certainly will. So if you have questions that pop into your head as we're going along here, please write those down and ask Ivo those questions when we get to the end. Now, first, guys, I want to let you know, actually, I don't want to take any words out of Ivo's mouth about this because I'll probably botch it. So Ivo, first go ahead and tell us a little bit about your background and how your background led you to where you are now as the founder and CEO of 911 Inform.
Sure. Thank you, Brendan. I have been in the public safety space, government, municipality, county for 25 years. In the Northeast, in New Jersey alone, we do over 30% of all the police departments. And it was about 7 years ago that my wife and I, we were watching the Dateline episode on the school shootings. And in that episode, it said that 80% of fatalities in a mass shooting event are from non-life-threatening gunshot wounds. People get shot and they just bleed out because, the police have no situational awareness and can't get into the building in time. And my wife turns to me and says, well, you do all the police and all the schools. Why is that? And we started looking at, what the police had, started talking to them. And I realized that there was nothing out there that gave the police real-time situational awareness in an emergency. And I went back to my wife and said, yeah, there's no software out there. Everything that you see on TV, the cameras, the video, it's all after the fact. Police don't have access to any of that during an emergency. And she goes, well, you need to fix it. So to save my marriage, I started developing 911 Inform. And it really, when you think about an emergency, whether it be a mass shooting event or even a medical emergency, it's over in 5 minutes. And the police are not going to go into, an active shooter event looking at their phone, trying to log on to something. If it's a medical emergency in that building, there are, you have camera software, you have phone software, you have digital mapping. The police have CAD systems, you have paging, you have strobes. So in an average school, there's 7 different types of programs that can be used in a public safety event. And there's just not enough time to log on to that. So we developed 911 Inform, which was really a paradigm shift, because what we now do is we take all that technology that's in that building and we present it to police before the phone is even answered by 911. So when you dial 911, whether it be for a medical emergency, active shooter, any type of event, our system is triggered instantaneously, and we're giving the police, and not only the police in the dispatch, but the officers in their cars, in their MDTs, the computers in their cars, the fire, EMS, we're giving everyone instant access to that building, to that emergency, and communicate simultaneously. So we open up a communication channel. So it's really revolutionary what we did. It was, when you think about it, it's pretty simplistic, that it's never been done before. But the public safety industry in this country was developed in the 70s, and it hasn't changed since then. And you have all these companies that are coming out with all new software, weapon detection, AI, license plate, LPR, license plate reading. But none of it is used in an emergency because it requires someone to log on to software and view it. And the people that are responding are not doing that. So we created 911 Inform. I have to give credit to my wife. So it was her idea, and we developed it, and it really is a game changer, because now we have over 250 integrations into our platform. We provide the police a single pane of glass in an emergency.
Okay. And let's back up a little bit. There might be, the people who are viewing, the people who will be viewing in the future, we all have different levels of proficiency when it comes to software and technology. And but basically, kind of as a fundamental principle, it normally, and let's take some, bad situations we've had here in Texas. We'll get to Uvalde in a little bit in more detail, but we had the Uvalde shooting, which was horrendous. We had a shooting at, I believe, a Walmart in El Paso a few years ago. We had actually very recently, in the last few months, a shooting at a mall in Allen, Texas, which is a big suburb north of Dallas. And it typically, emergency management will show up, and all they know is that there's an active shooter, and they just pull up, and that's the only information they have. Is that pretty much it?
Yeah, exactly. And in fact, in the Walmart shooting in El Paso, the police did not have access to the cameras. So they had to send in a Walmart employee with SWAT team to go into the security office to view the cameras and then radio back to where that shooter is.
Okay.
So if you just look at that, at that example, our technology, as soon as there's a 911 call, first of all, and you look at, El Paso and Uvalde, there were 911 calls to the police saying there's someone in the parking lot with a weapon. The police didn't have the mechanism to lock that building down in time. They're calling they're calling the principal, they're calling the manager, they're trying to go through, and by that time he's in the building.
Right.
With our technology, within 1 second on that 911 call, that dispatcher can lock down that building and select active shooter, medical emergency, shelter in place, lockdown instantaneously. And our system will automatically lock the doors, turn off the lights, activate the strobes, page overhead, and basically do everything automatically.
I mean, that's amazing. Like I'm basically sitting here getting goosebumps, because I mean, that can save a lot of lives, that quick of an action. And so kind of walk us through in a little bit more detail, what kind of information does your software give to the emergency response team? What are they when they pull up to that building, what are they now going to know?
So when the officers, and again, you think about, let's look at the process. You call 911 and you say, you see someone in the parking lot with a weapon. That's all they know. And that information, every second goes by, that information's old. The responding officer gets a call saying, suspect with a weapon outside of Walmart, and they're arriving on scene. They have no idea where they're at. With our technology, we're going to actually, as soon as that 911 call happens, they can now track that assailant in real time. The officers responding on their MDTs, they can actually see where that person is. Our system will actually track them through the building. So again, if you think of Uvalde, it took them 11 minutes to find the shooter. With our technology, as soon as that dispatcher tags that person as a threat, our system will follow them and breadcrumb them and show them in the map of the school exactly where to go to.
Okay. And so you guys watching this, I'm sure we're all aware that this is one of the biggest issues facing American society right now is mass shootings, right? These are things where our children could be impacted, our grandchildren, we could be impacted. And so this is obviously, this is just a massive topic in our society right now. And this product is really incredible and groundbreaking. And rather than me just sitting here saying that, Ivo, why don't you let everybody know, obviously I'm an attorney here in Texas. I'm not a mainline news source or anything like that, but why don't you let everybody know some of the mainline media companies that have promoted you guys and given you guys kind of a platform to let everybody know what you're doing. What are those shows, companies?
Yeah, so we're getting a lot. When you look at a public safety company such as 911 Inform, we really don't have any competitors, right? So we don't, there's a lot of companies out there that do specific things. You have companies that do weapon detection. You have companies that do notifications. You have companies that do Bombs compliancy and federal law compliancy. So there's a lot of companies out there, but nothing puts it together holistically under a single pane of glass, right? And the other thing that's revolutionary is all this technology that's out there, the weapon detection, all that, you have to buy all new technology. You have to buy cameras for that. You have to buy this. Our system works with everything that's already in that building, everything that that school has or that building has. So it really is revolutionary because a school can have 911 inform for a one-time cost of anywhere, to say a large school from 15 to 25,000, and they were only $5,000 a year. We're not expensive. So and I did that on purpose because I wanted to make it affordable for every school in the country, right? I want to make every kid safe in this country. And so, with that premise and the fact that we give our software to police, we don't charge police for it. We don't charge for the installation. We give it freely because we want them to save lives. And that's what's really brought a lot of attention. We have, we were on CBS Evening News. We were on ABC Evening News. We were on CBS. We're on the CBS Morning Show. And that was, it was incredible that, there was a 5-minute piece on the CBS Morning Show and they went through it. And, Meg Oliver said, this is game-changing technology. Nate Burleson said, every school needs this technology. It's, and they viewed in that interview, they said, we've looked at a lot of different technologies that are going into our schools, and this is game changing. No one is doing this because, our focus is not on a new technology. Our focus is on the process. Give them all that information that they need in real time with no logons, no apps, don't have to log into an app, and present it. And that's what's really given us the media exposure. We also have Fox News National that we're shooting now. And also, I'll let the cat out of the bag. Uvalde has chosen 911 Inform to protect their students. After the shooting, they were given pretty much every software under the sun to try. And after looking at it for several years, and their police department, their SROs, their superintendent, they looked at 911 Inform and they're like, this is exactly, if we had 911 Inform, we would not have had the tragedy. Because the first thing when you think of Uvalde is they propped the door open, right? So there was a secure door in the school and they put a brick in it. With 911 Inform, since I'm monitoring everything in that building in real time, as soon as that front door was open, left open for 30 seconds, our system would have sent an alert to the SRO, school resource officer, that's the police officer in the school, would have sent him a text on his phone and also broadcast on their radio, front door is open, security hazard. And he would have been able to go secure that. So now that shooter would not have been able to get in. The other thing was, with our technology, everybody is now viewing that shooter as they're moving through the building. So there's no ambiguity as to where that person is. Yeah. And then what our system does, where we take it to the next level, is, you look at these schools in Texas, they're massive. The high school and these schools have 40 doors around them. Right. And a typical police response is driving up to the front door, walking in, and someone called 911. With our technology, wherever that emergency is, that closest door, that's where we're routing. So in the Uvalde case, as that first officer arrived on site, we would have routed him to the closest door to that shooter, so he would be able to take that person out instantaneously and not search the building.
It really, I'm not just saying this. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. I think it's unreal and I think long overdue, right? Yep. Given how much technologically advanced our society is. So it's a great thing. And so guys, I wanted, Ivo to let you know that, again, this is a big deal, right? I mean, he's being featured on CBS, Fox, I believe. Is there also going to be are you guys going to be on PBS?
Yeah. So PBS, when they looked at doing the story originally, they were doing a 5-minute piece, just like CBS Morning Show that goes on and they broadcast that on all the financial channels, the CS, MSNBCs and the Bloombergs and that sort of thing. And after looking at what we did, and we're going to be using Uvalde as the test case, they're actually doing sorry about that. They're actually doing a 30-minute special just on 911 Inform. that's going to be on the technology game changers that PBS does, and it will also be broadcast on all of the financial news networks. So
Okay.
it's really exciting stuff.
And guys, if you want to, when we're done here, if you have an interest, which I would hope you do, you can actually, Google 911 Inform. Number one, you can get on, you can get on their website. They have a website. Number two, you can Google 911 Inform, CBS Evening News, and these clips will come up where you can see these, not just Brandon McGee, the attorney, but these national media companies giving a spotlight to 911 Inform. Ivo, let's talk about this. So your customer base, obviously the schools is a no-brainer. The schools, I think, are where we all hope will be some of the first organizations to implement this. But there's also other customers that you have, right? And that you're seeking. So who are some of the other customers that you have, whether you want to name, you can say who they are directly, or just the kind of business that they operate? Who are those customers out there that is using your services?
Yeah, so I was going to share my screen here, but
okay, wait. Okay, guys, give us a minute to work through some difficulties. All right, let me see. I think I can help. I hope I can help. I think I'm screen sharing now. Are you able to share now?
All right, let me see. Share screen. No, host disabled, participant screen sharing.
That is the opposite of what I wanted to do. Hold on, guys. See, when I do this during the day, my staff is here and they make up for my incompetent ways. Hold on one second.
It's all good.
Okay, while I kind of see if I can work on this, do you
Sure.
want to talk a little bit about?
Oh yeah, yeah. So I mean, originally we started with the schools. That was original focus, but also there's a federal law out there called the Ray Bombs Act. It's a federal law, and it says that every owner of a phone system in the U.S. now has to provide a dispatchable location. So that was a really easy transition for us because we were already connected into the buildings. We're already mapping the buildings. So, with our system now, we have a product called LDS, or a location discovery solution. And what that does is provide a detailed location. So if you dial 911 from the McGee Law Firm, and typically it'll just say, McGee Law Firm and have an address. Now the law requires a dispatchable location to say exactly where it's coming from. So our technology is, we will now, when Brandon has 911 form in his law firm, when they dial 911, it'll say the call's coming from his office exactly here. This is the quickest way to get there. So that led us to a lot of corporate companies that needed to be compliant. Home Depot, Wells Fargo, AAA, Pratt and Whitney, just to name a few. So we have a lot of, enterprise customers that are, taking the security of their staff and, their visitors seriously, and deploying 911 Inform. The greatest testimony I can give is Bloomberg. So Bloomberg was looking for a solution to be Ray Bombs compliant in the US. And they looked at everyone that was out there. And it was funny, in the presentations from our competitors on the Ray Bombs Act, they compared themselves to 911 Inform. And so Bloomberg calls us and says, hey, look, we're looking to be Ray Bombs compliant, and, your competitors mentioned you. And we went through and did our presentation. We went through and probably talked to about 6 or 7 different departments within Bloomberg. And then after looking at our solution, they came back to us and said, look, what you're doing with your technology is so important that we would be doing our employees and our company a disservice if we only did it in the United States. So Bloomberg, we're deploying Bloomberg 911 Inform to all 800 offices around the globe, because they want their employees to be safe. They want, and in fact, what already happened was a Bloomberg employee went out, left work, went out to his car, was not feeling well, called 911, And the security staff got the alert from his cell phone automatically that, hey, you have a 911 call happening here. He went out and he was in a diabetic shock. So they were able to help him in his car. And that person, this just recently happened within the last 2 weeks. That, you know, the SRO, I'm sorry, the security person was on site to that Bloomberg employee 17 minutes before the ambulance arrived on site in Princeton, New Jersey. And that's Princeton, New Jersey. So, I mean, that's a huge, that's a huge life-saving difference right there.
And this is, this is interesting because I actually was, when I was preparing to talk to you, I was wondering, could this be applied internationally, given that, different ways of doing things in different countries? But I guess the answer is yes. This can be applied in other countries as well.
Yep, absolutely. Anywhere. And I got my screen sharing now.
Oh, you did? Thank God. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I pressed enough buttons and I got lucky. One of them was right.
I think you need to give Kim a raise.
Right.
So hopefully you can share. Hopefully you can see my screen now. So, again, and, referencing, the Texans on the call, and, we have a contract with Texas Health and Human Services. So every Texas Health and Human Service office is now deploying 911 Inform. Texas A&M, all locations. We started with Tarleton and, started there. But I mean, you look at, from Bloomberg, Wells Fargo, Home Depot, AAA, Lockheed Martin, Pratt and Whitney, just, huge clients are, looking at this seriously. And, our software, what we are is we're really a Trojan horse for them, because we go in, these companies just want to be compliant with the law. And then when they go in and they see the difference that we provide and how, having 911 Inform will save the life of their employees or a visitor on their facility, they always increase and go with the full 911 Inform connected building package.
And I'm proud to see you have my law school alma mater, Emory University. So happy to see Emory.
Okay.
Hey, I also think at some point I came across some information that is the military at some of their bases utilizing 911 Inform.
Yeah, so I'm really, really excited about this. With the and what I like to do, I mean, we've been doing a lot of talking, but the software, it really is visual. You have to see how fast it is to really, to appreciate it. So I'm going to do a demo here in a second. But okay. Yeah, the military right now we're under POC, proof of concept, with the Army, the Air Force, and as of, I believe it was Monday, we got the go ahead from the Navy. So those three branches alone, that represents about $90 million in revenue to 911 Inform. The Army has initially, after the initial POC and due diligence, has for this year issued $5.9 million in 911 Inform services for 18 bases. And then the rest of the bases to be done in 24 for a total of a $40 million contract. So, we also have the FAA going in. Part of the FAA, General Dynamics, does secure phone hosting for the FAA and various departments. They have about 150 or so military departments. They do it. They're standardizing on 911 Inform. So right there, I mean, that is probably in the, $60 to $70 million range net revenue to 911 Inform.
And guys,
so, it's just.
Let me insert something real quick here. So guys, one of the reasons that I'm actually having Ivo on here present this, and I mean, it's obviously an incredible product that's of a massive help to society, is because there's actually, and we're going to talk about this more at the tail end, but you're hearing him saying that we're working with this company, we have this contract, we have that contract. There's actually opportunities to invest in this company still, briefly. So I want you guys to kind of keep that in mind while we're continuing this conversation. You guys, could become investors in this company. full disclosure, my wife and I are investors in this company. I think you can see why after just listening to Ivo for a brief period of time. So I want you guys to know that. But Ivo, can you walk us through? I think you have a kind of a demo for us. Is that right? That you can walk us through of how
Sure.
this software works?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can see my screen, right? It just says basically listening for notifications.
Yes.
So this is the same software. And again, this is the same single pane of glass that the police have, the school officials have. This is what's in the MDTs or the computers that are in the police cars, the ambulance, and the fire trucks. So it's all the same system. And then basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to, from my cell phone, dial 911. And I dial it up. I'm going to hit the button, and now I'm going to hang up. So I hit that button and I hung up. So that call never went through to 911. Our system still picks it up.
Oh my God.
And so it's that fast. Now, that little Star Wars Jawa sound that you heard was my phone. I was getting a text message on my phone saying, hey, there's an emergency. And I don't know if you can see it right there. It's kind of hard, but on my phone saying there's an emergency in room 306. So if you think about a traditional 911 call, you know, Brandon, you're not feeling well, you dial 911. It's you talking to the dispatcher. No one else in that building knows what's going on. With our technology now, everybody knows what's going on. I'm just going to move this over to the side. So I'm the SRO in that school, the security resource officer. I can just text back. And again, keep in mind, no software to download, nothing to install. I can just text back on my way to 306. So as soon as I sent that text, it appears here. So we've opened up a common communication platform between all first responders and the school personnel. And the thing you have to realize in Texas, the people that are taking the calls are not the same people that are dispatching or the police department, right? So, you think you dial 911, it takes about 10 to 15 seconds, sometimes 30 seconds for that phone to even get answered. They triage the call, then they have to send it to dispatch the officer. With our technology, before that phone even is answered by the PSAP, and when I say PSAP, that's public service answering point. That's the place where the call goes when you dial 911. Before it's even answered there, everyone is now aware of what's happening. And then in this case, if you look here, what we're doing is, this is the front of the building. What I'm doing is I'm showing that, hey, the quickest way to get to this emergency is don't park here, park over here, come to door 15. And when I arrive on site, again, from the MDT and the patrol car, I can actually click on that door, unlock that door instantaneously.
That is insane. That is amazing.
And then the other thing that you can do now, again, police don't have any visibility to the building. Now I can actually click on that camera, and I apologize, we're night here. So, but that's a live shot of, outside that door in real time. And this is interesting right here. So this came at the request of Kansas City police. They actually had an attempted gunman get acquitted of, he took a weapon out of his car, went in, or was going to go in, and then went back home. They came and arrested him. He was acquitted of the charges because what happened was the NVR, or network video recorder, was off. The date and the time was off. So the defense was, I wasn't there then. Look at the time on the video recorder. Right. So now when we get an emergency, we're superimposing the correct time on top of it. So this is exactly what we're doing. So every single pain point that we've gotten from police, we've solved. And that's why we keep innovating and doing what we're doing. But the other thing is, as we talked before, on that 911 call came in so fast, and there's an active shooter in the parking lot. Now the police, from this interface, they can basically click here, click active shooter, and lock down that building, and it will follow that procedure. And then if you look at, it's a bomb threat, it's a lockdown. So these are all the MOUs, or the procedures that are in place at that school. And as soon as they hit, medical emergency, I hit medical emergency, I just instantly texted every cardiac or code blue member in that school that this is a medical emergency. That's the text coming in. And then now I'm showing where the AEDs are, right?
And then I would presume that also, some of these schools where they have an armed officer on the campus or armed security guards, this information will also help them respond really quick. Is that right? To where?
Oh, absolutely. And again, when you look at an emergency, nothing is going according to plan. And when we talked with Columbine and the police department out there, their biggest pain point that they had was in an emergency, they had so many different departments responding that the communication was flawed. So when they discovered that there were pipe bombs in the doors, it took them 18 minutes to disseminate all that information to everyone that was on scene. And they're there. It took them 18 minutes. So with our technology, basically, and I got to move you a little picture over here out of the way. So with our technology now, if they say, hey, I see a pipe bomb, all they have to do is they can go in and they can mark the device. So I mark it here, and I'll say it's a pipe bomb. And that's a 40-foot radius of effect. As soon as I mark that device, I instantly rerouted everyone away from that door instantaneously and routed them to door 1 and sent the notification out to every police officer there. And then if I go into the battleship mode where I see the marked devices, I see the exclusion zone. So I know, that I don't have anyone enter that zone. That's the radius of effect there. So it's things like that we're solving. That's really a game changer. The other thing that happens with schools, police are going in, they have a lockdown, they have a situation. They don't know what they're walking into. So with our technology, I can actually click on that room and I can view a 360 of that room. I can see exactly what that room looks like before I make entry to it.
Wow, that is incredible.
So that room here has, no windows in it. So I can actually see, so the police can see what they're walking into. Okay. The other thing that we learned is, in a school, and again, school shootings are horrific. And we had, close to 500 people die, in school. 500 active shooter events in the U.S. There are 5,000 911 calls from K through 12 schools per day in the U.S. with medical events with students, staff, and faculty. 5,000. So our system, is used every day. And the one thing we learned is when someone calls 911, and from the students in in their classroom, what do? Typically, they'll move them to the nurse's office, right? So if I move them here to the nurse's office, I change the emergency room. I instantly change. I also change the door route, so I can instantly go to that door, and that's the notification saying now telling me to go to door 1 instantaneously. So as these, from a medical emergency, whatever it is, they're fluid events. They're constantly changing. Our system will constantly update them. And the other thing that you have to look at, in Texas, Texas has 1.8 billion in school safety. With they're focusing on mapping the schools. State of Florida has 14 million out for school mapping. It's the mapping, what they're doing doesn't really work because it's a static map. We're the only company that actually has an interactive map that's taking, thousands of data points from in that building and presenting it to police in real time and making the data actionable. So, going back around to answer your question that you asked a while ago, this is what's really getting the news coverage. The fact that this is so simple, so easy to use, no applications required, no downloads required, and it's real-time instantaneous information to, public safety. And then, with our technology, we track everything. Everybody wants the police to have access, to the cameras in the school, but no one wants the police watching their kids during the day, and the teachers don't want them watching. So with our technology, the police only have access during an emergency. They can only view the cameras, and we're only going to show them cameras that are pertinent to that emergency. So, and we track everything that the police do. So if they go on during an emergency, if they open a camera, they close a door, it's all tracked and presented. So everybody has real-time debriefing information so they can see how everyone performed, how long it took them to do it, who did what, so that's really the game changer.
Okay. And so, and I'm going to make this statement, and then we're going to segue into, it's going to segue us into investment opportunities with 911 Inform. But basically, if I'm, a superintendent of an ISD or on the board of trustees, somebody in a position of authority to make decisions to purchase this kind of software, I think I'm maybe almost legally negligent if I know about this product and I don't purchase it for my school, right? I mean, it literally,
Right.
you almost should be legally negligent. It would be crazy. And so I think basically for you guys, would you say that right now your mission, what big mission is to simply get enough salespeopeople to get this product in front of the right people who need it? Would that be a
Yes.
fair statement?
Yeah. So what we're facing now is, and originally when we developed this product, and again, I come from a public safety background, and we spent 4 years developing and testing the software before we launched it, and we tested it, in police departments and schools throughout the state of New Jersey for 4 years. Police, their public safety, if they buy a gun and it misfires one time, no police officer in the world will buy that gun. So it was very, very important for us to make sure that our software was rock solid and it worked and it integrated with everything, right? So we focused our time on that, and then we were going to slowly roll and build out the sales force. What's happened is we are getting so much media coverage now. We are now being bombarded with leads. We have a sales office in Colorado that handles our account executives, our VAR programs, and that sort of thing. But we were slowly building that out with this influx of press. Our website, an hour after CBS News, for the 4 hours after CBS News, we got about 500,000 hits to our website 4 hours after that. So we are being bombarded with, we had Dallas Star contact us. We had Green Bay Packers. And I'm a Viking fan, but I'll still sell them. Green Bay, Lambeau Field, I'll still sell them. But they reached out to us. So we have so much influx. And I like to being an engineer, I like to have everything controlled. But, the state of Florida has the mapping protocol. I've been used as the expert on all the news programs down there about mapping. We're getting calls from multiple schools. So, we originally did a raise. And then we were going to wait until, the B round next year. But right now we have so much, the phone is just ringing off the hook. We have so much media attention. We need to fill in the white spaces pretty quickly and get the sales staff so we can handle everything that's coming our way right now.
I want to bring in Oliver Wriedt into the conversation. And Oliver, tell me if I'm going to botch what your involvement here. But your syndicate is one of the lead fundraisers, and you're soon to be on the board of directors for 911 Inform. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. We had an opportunity to first invest with 911 Inform a little over 2 years ago. As Ivo referenced, he really bootstrapped the business, and maybe Ivo wants to talk about how much money he's invested in the business on his own, but we had the benefit of 4 years of work that Ivo pioneered in predominantly in New Jersey, and raised 8 of the initial 9 million that came into the company, and we then had the opportunity to follow up that investment earlier this year with the Series A. We've raised roughly around $6 million, and as Ivo mentioned, now that the company has enjoyed such tremendous reception in the public media, we've decided, really, Ivo's decided that this is the right time to invest in additional sales resources.
Okay, and if you'll,
we're extending the $6 million round as we speak, with the sources and uses really being an investment in additional sales infrastructure.
and if you'll kind of explain to us, the audience, not all of us are experienced in investment such as this. And so, I've got, clients from all different professions, engineers, doctors, other lawyers, but we don't necessarily know the investment industry really well. Kind of walk us through sort of in a kind of an investment for dummies type mentality. Real basically, what does this look like right now? What are our opportunities as investors? Where are we right now in the financial phase of this company? And if we do invest in it, where is this thing headed? And what are the potential financial gains for investors?
Sure. I'd be happy to. I mean, the way we really underwrote the investment was with a view to have an opportunity as private investors. Our syndicate is comprised exclusively of high net worth individuals, and so we do not have any venture funds or other sort of early stage professional investors in our syndicate. Ivo really bootstrapped the business, spent about $3.5 million to get to a point where he knew that the software worked, and at that time, we were able to raise the bulk of the capital required to allow the company to continue to grow. The capital structure here is really very simple. It's really just common stock. The company does not have any debt. The company has been entirely equity funded. And so it's really a direct investment in the common stock in the company. This will be, as Ivo referenced earlier, the last opportunity for private individuals to invest. It is the company's intention to engage with the private equity community sometime in Q2 of next year. The company will have grown to a point where we believe a domain expert in private equity has made massive investments in security over the years. It's one of the most sought after industries for the private equity industry right now, and so we've gotten very, very good indications that we expect to get very strong reception once the company's effectively monetized and capitalized on a lot of this interest. Never mind some of the larger contracts that I will reference, which would be game changing in their own right? So a full scale Army contract, a full scale Navy contract in and by itself would make the company profitable overnight, and obviously extremely desirable for the private equity community to then come in and really take over certainly the capital side of the business.
Okay, and let me kind of I want to try and paraphrase things for the audience, and then you guys correct me if I'm wrong. But number one, so this is the last chance here to get involved in this on kind of a what we would call a seed investor or angel investor, kind of ground level investing. And the goal will be that at some point, potentially a large private equity firm maybe purchases the software, or maybe it gets listed as public stock. Is that correct?
Brandon, if you allow me just to maybe make the following statement. We're really well past the angel stage. Typically, an angel investor invests in a company pre-revenue. Typically, there may not even be product market fit. So in other words, an investor may not know whether the product is even going to be accepted by the target audience. What we have here is a company that generates significant revenue, has demonstrated that it plays an almost unique role in this industry, and is basically being receiving inbound interest each and every day, particularly on the back of this very successful media campaign. So this is really a Series A. This would typically be a venture investor. The company is still losing money because it's investing in its growth. And so it's really about scaling up the business, something that typically venture investors would do. We're not terribly fond of the venture community necessarily, I think, particularly at this point in the cycle. And so we've been very fortunate in that Ivo has allowed us to essentially be his exclusive capital partner. We've been able to raise the capital required for this growth, and we will be working with Ivo on this institutional round, which would effectively be a Series B. But to put this in numbers, right now, we've raised $6 million at an $80 million valuation. And so the valuation is also much more consummate with a Series A. And we will be looking to engage the private equity community at a valuation range that's somewhere between 200 and 300 million. So there are no guarantees,
Sure.
in the investment business. And so these are merely, our projections. We expect that the company will have signed enough of these pending contracts to be able to warrant a substantially higher valuation than what we're allowing investors into the company at this moment in time. This raise started in January, and so the $80 million valuation does not reflect essentially all the success and all the media coverage that the company has enjoyed to date, and really has earned through the number of lives that the company's already saved.
Okay, and so yes.
Sorry, yeah, Oliver, you stole my thunder. I was gonna say that, with all this talk about numbers, with all this talk about numbers, the most important number that's out there that I can report on is 5. And that's the amount of lives that we have saved with 911 Inform. So there's 5 people, actually, and that's 5 students. And when we count Bloomberg, that just recently happened, that's 6 now. That's really why we do this. And, I put $4 million into this because it was a problem that was there, and it wasn't going to change, and the system wasn't going to change. So, for me, it's personal, but the one number I'm most proud of is 5 kids are alive today because of our product, that we saved their life.
That's absolutely amazing. And yeah, when we do talk about investing, we kind of get down to just dollars and cents and payoff and profit and things like that. But guys, the thing is, no, this isn't like a great new brand of ice cream or a new bicycle that's really cool, right? This is, if you're investing in this product, you are helping promote, you're a part of something that God only knows how many lives this is gonna save, like let's say in the next decade, right? I'm sure a whole lot. So let me ask you guys this: if there is somebody who watches this that would be interested in a discussion about investing in 911 Inform, do you want them to reach out to me and then I can get them in touch with one of you? What's the best course of action here if we have somebody that wants to explore this investment opportunity?
I think it might be easiest, Brendan, if we just route it through you, and then
Okay.
Ivo and I would be happy to engage with anyone at any level of detail.
Okay.
The investment vehicle that we've set up is open for investment. We have effectively executed a rolling close, which means as we've raised money, we've wired that onto the company so that the company can execute on its business plan. And so we expect to continue to do that. If I may, I'd love to get Ivo to talk a little bit about the sales strategy, because when we invested with Ivo a little over 2 years ago, the original idea was to really build a sales force within 911 Inform and to effectively make direct sales. And about 1.5 years ago, Ivo changed that sales strategy and has today partnered with the most renowned telecommunication services companies in the United States. And so Ivo, if you would perhaps talk a little bit about your exclusivity and partnership with the value-added resellers, I think that would really help everyone appreciate the unfettered access that you will be enjoying to, with some of the target audiences.
Absolutely. And again, when, I come from, 25 years in public safety, and I realized, when I was in a police department doing the technology, it was easy for me to get their ear. The sales cycle was, I was their trusted advisor. And when we originally started going out and selling, it was very easy to sell 911 Inform in New Jersey because I had, everyone knew who I was there. And when I started going outside, I was just someone else that was soliciting, the school or the enterprise. So, I had an epiphany, and I realized that, look, in order for this to scale and grow, we have to go in through trusted advisors. So the first thing we did is we partnered with Avaya, and we partnered with Avaya, Rapid SOS, Panasonic, Single Wire. So Avaya now, who has 1,500 business partners in the U.S. alone, 911 Inform is now an Avaya part number. So when you buy a phone system from Avaya now, 911 Inform, excuse me, 911 Inform is included. We partnered with basically all the industry, experts that are out there, all the technology. So everyone that had a relationship, the manufacturers that have relationships, we made it a 911 Inform part number. Then the other thing that we did is, if you look at, a sales cycle, Oliver or Brandon being a salesman, smiling and dialing can only get so much traction. So we went through the VAR, or value-added reseller route. So we went to the CDWs, the Lumens, the Insights, the SHI, NWN Carousel, Converge One. All those companies right there basically touch every single school in the US. So our account executives, our AEs, account executives, where they do some direct sales, they're mostly working with Avaya, or they're working with Lumen, or they're working with NWN Carousel or Converge One. So now our one salesman is now responsible for 300 salespeople in Lumen. And that's really what has led to the growth and the success that we've had. Because now when Lumen, and I'll give you an example, state of Arizona, we are doing every administrative office in the state of Arizona. Over 800 buildings are getting 911 Inform. That was a Lumen customer. So Lumen was already their trusted advisor. It was already doing their phone system. So it was easy for them to come in. So that was the shift in the thinking in sales, and it's really paid dividends. Right now, our sales pipeline, we have over, I think today we're over about 90 million in quotes that are out there. Some of these phone systems are very large. They take time to deploy. So, the sales cycle on them could be 6 months to, a year and a half on some of these larger ones. But, it's led to, we've done $2 million this year in unforecasted revenue, because our VARs are just out there. They're selling a phone system, or they're going into a school, and they're just including 911 Inform in it. So it's, that strategy of going through the VAR, or the value-added resellers, has really paid dividends for us.
And I'm going to have to say, I don't want to downplay the role of any of the sales force, but I mean, this has to be one of the most slam dunk sales jobs of all time, right? I mean, you get in front of a superintendent of a school district, or some, the head of a college campus. You're almost negligent not to purchase this product. So I think it's just a matter of exposure, not convincing people. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Well, guys,
there is an educational element to this, right? I mean, if you consider, for instance, Ray Baum's Act, right? I'd never heard of this law, right? I think most people have never heard of this law, and for better or for worse, most companies that it applies to haven't heard of it either. So there is an element to really bringing prospective customers up to speed on what their legal obligation is. Right, that can come with fines being out of compliance. In addition to, obviously, we're a somewhat litigious society, some states more than others, right? So you really don't want to be out of compliance. God forbid, something happens, and there have been incidences now where the police has been dispatched to not only the wrong building but the wrong state, and you can imagine the repercussions of mistakes like that.
Sure.
And so, a lot of the media exposure has been focused on schools. Obviously, everyone is most concerned, with the security of our children. But it goes well beyond that. We've talked about the military, we talked about the government. Hospitals are a very, very important audience as well. And so this technology really touches really all aspects of our lives effectively.
And guys, I want to pause
Yeah,
and just real
and
quick.
one quick second,
Sure.
I just want to chime in one second on that. If you look at Ray-Baum's compliancy, and people don't know about it, if you look up Ray-Baum's compliancy and you look up St. Louis, the city of St. Louis is being sued for $40 million in the wrongful death of a 9-year-old boy at a community pool. Because what happened was, again, a community pool, a boy drowned, lifeguard call, picks up the red phone, and it went to a police dispatch center in Colorado.
Oh my
right.
God.
So, it's not just for schools. Everything that we're doing, it's for enterprise. It's for, again, state of Arizona, every administrative office is getting 911 form just for that reason. So we're really at, our TAM is unbelievable because, again, it's not just a school product, it's enterprise. It's any public building, is a customer of 911 form. Sorry, Brent, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to get that out there.
No, that's great. That's great information. So guys, if you do have any questions that you would like to ask of Ivo or Oliver, you can type those we have a chat box or a Q&A box. Maybe use the Q&A box, but either one's fine. So if you have any questions, go ahead and type those in now. Let me ask, so what kind of intrigued me earlier was this idea of this applying internationally. You mentioned that Bloomberg is putting this in their offices all over the world. At some point, are you guys, right now, I'm sure your sales force has been really focused on the United States. Are you guys going to actively be seeking contracts with international customers?
Absolutely. But I mean, right now, with the media attention that we're getting, with the school safety grants that are coming out, our initial focus right now is the United States. We are, talking to other countries right now that are interested in 911 Inform. So, we are going to go down that road. But right now I want to stay laser focused on the opportunities here because it's literally hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue for us. So I want to focus on that. And then, we are, our one of our partners, Bandwidth, who does the 911 routing in 39 countries, wants to take 911 Inform into all the countries that they're in, right? And Oliver has some interest in some investors in the UAE. They want to get there. And we've had a conversation with Italy, Philippines, Bahamas, in other countries. So there are talks. We are going to do it, but right now, with the resources we have so much of a demand for our product here in the U.S. We're going to focus on that, and then eventually, in probably Q3, Q4 of 24, is when we're going to start going into international. Okay,
wonderful. And we do have one question, and I like this from one of my really smart clients here. He's getting right to the point. He's asking, what's the minimum investment and what's the share price?
So we've set up a special purpose vehicle that we've routed all of the investors in this round through, and I believe the smallest investor right now we have is $25,000, and the largest investor is $2 million. So we've sort of been in that range. So there isn't an explicit minimum because we can really accommodate any investor that is accredited. But right now the smallest investor in the SPV is $25,000. The share price is $2 a share. But that doesn't really mean much without the benefit of the share count. And so the valuation is $80 million pre-money, and will be, we're targeting an 8 million raise. And so the valuation post money will be 88 million.
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, that was the only question. And so guys, any of you watching this now, any of you guys who will be watching this in the near future, on, social media, YouTube, or from us, sending this out to you by email, please feel free to reach out to me if you're interested in this investment. I can get you guys in touch. But Ivo and Oliver, thank you so much for joining us. You know, I obviously, being an investor, I knew some about this coming in, maybe mainly from talking to Oliver, you know, here and there about it. But I personally learned so much tonight, even after being an investor. Super educational, and it's a wonderful product. So thank you guys so much. We really, really appreciate you all's time. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity, Brandon. Much appreciated.
Absolutely. And thank you guys
Brennan.
for watching. We appreciate you too. So all you guys have a good night. Okay.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care.
Stay safe.